Normally, I'm with Synchrotron, which is a company that is operating accelerators. Particle accelerators like this one or this one that are accelerating particles to produce light. Yeah? And that light we use for our research. And for a couple of months now, I'm a proud member of Mid-Sweden University. Let's see. Oh, how can I go ahead with the... Oh, here we go. So, question to the audience. Have you ever worked with radiation imaging detectors? Maybe two of you. Okay, the rest maybe not. So why do we need that sort of thing? Because after all, nature donated us with excellent sensors, yeah, to see light. And light can be considered a wave or a particle, depending how you measure it. It's a dualism. So in our vision system to detect light is really exceptional. Yeah, it consists of a sensor, the retina, or the eye with the retina, a data backend, and a connection between them, which is the optical nerve. Now, the sensitivity of our retina is not that great, 20 photons it requires to fire a signal on our retina. We can do much better right now. Single photon detectors we can build. So, but we have some sort of picture elements in our eye, and we have a lot of them, 500,000, yeah, 500 million. And these are called pixels, yeah. And well, basically we have the possibility to see 24 images per second. And if you calculate it right, it comes out that we have a data transmission through our system of 60 gigabytes per second. That's quite a bit. However, we have some sort of pre-processing in our retina and also on the optical nerve. So we have maybe 10 million bits per second that are really going in our back processing data storage. But the problem is that the wavelength we are made for the optical vision, is in the range for 400 to 800 nanometers. And here we are in the wave, yeah, sort of thing for optical photons. So 400 is maybe the blue light, and 800 nanometers would be the red light. So the lower the wavelength, the higher the energy. Now the problem is the electromagnetic spectrum, yeah, from AC currents as we know it here from the AC power to high energy X-rays from cosmic X-rays sources, we have 23 orders of magnitudes. The laser doesn't work anymore, I guess. Okay. But we see just that little tiny thing in there, yeah, from 400 to 800 nanometers. So if you want to see data in the other ranges, for example here, from the ultraviolet to X-rays, yeah, we need some sort of instrument that is translating the information from that range into that one that we can see, right? Also this one. But I will concentrate on that one. So what we need are wavelength shifters, I would call them, and these are detectors, okay? How look detectors like? These are a couple of those that I built during the last 30 years, together with our colleagues. I will not discuss how they are working because that would take hours. Yeah. These are some of the experimental setups where we use these detectors to do the things that I will show in the following. Now, if you look for the spectral range, ultraviolet and X-rays, yeah? So the ionizing radiation that we have there, yeah, is interacting with matter as visible light is doing. So we have absorption, refraction, scattering. The good thing is, each of the chemical elements, they have a sort of absorption of this radiation, which is described by the attenuation coefficient, which is called mu/ρ here. And this depends on the color or the energy of the X-rays. And you see there's a steep jump in the absorption. And this is like a fingerprint. So if we are able to see this steep jump, we know that this was a certain element. So this would be iodine, this would be xenon, this would be silver, and this would be barium, for example. While water would have, in this energy range or color range, a very smooth transition. It has a jump maybe in the canteen, yeah, in this plot over there. Where comes the radiation from? So we have many radiation sources. Cosmic radiation, we have radioactive sources, yeah. But for 120 years or so, we have X-ray tubes that are generating X-rays, and we have particle accelerators. And I will concentrate on ring accelerators here, or they are also called synchrotrons. Most of you guys will have a ring accelerator on your desk. And that's a piece of Scotch tape. If you tear a Scotch tape in the dark, you will see that it will emit light. And it will not emit only light, but also X-rays. So you have an X-ray source on your desk, even without knowing it. Our ancestors, they tried also to do some sort of ring accelerators. That didn't work out too good. Yeah? I mean, the theoretical guy didn't remember why he was thinking about these experiments, and that's why it took 50,000 years to build up a ring accelerator, how we are using it now. This is a thing that we are using in Italy, in my home institution. It's basically a vacuum tube, yeah, where you accelerate electrons on the speed of light. To keep them on the ring, you need some sort of magnets. They are called bending magnets. And when the electrons are coming into the bending magnets, they change direction. And that means they are accelerated. Electrons that are accelerated, they don't like it. Yeah? And they react. No, I don't like it. And they react with the emission of radiation, electromagnetic radiation, which we call synchrotron radiation. And synchrotron radiation is really nice. Yeah? It has all sorts of colors. So when I talk about photon energy, I think also in terms of colors. Yeah? And it's very smooth, like shown over here. So we have a wide spectrum, white, like the white colors of our lamps over here. But if you compare it to the sun, and here I'm talking about the brightness, which means the numbers of photons of light particles per millimeter square and second, and angular aperture and energy, then we are much higher orders of magnitudes above the sun. Yeah? This is an X-ray tube that you can see here that you know from hospital. So, and nowadays with synchrotrons like arrows, we are somewhere over here. So orders of magnitudes above. What can we do with all these abundant photon flux? We can do experiments, and we can throw most of them away. And that was when I started. Here I still had some hair, by the way. That was 30 years ago. That's a detector that I built for a special application. And here we wanted to see iodine to monitor the coronary arteries of heart patients. Yeah? With a synchrotron. So the synchrotron radiation, as I told you, is white. We can have some filters to filter out specific radiation. And that we can detect with our detector over there, which is this thing over there. Now, as I told you before, each element has a specific fingerprint. Yeah? And iodine has a fingerprint at 33 keV. Which is not a high energy, but anyway. So if you look what the other material of your body is doing at 33 keV, almost nothing. So if you take an image here and an image there, they look quite similar, yeah? But if you subtract them now, what happens is that you see this. Only iodine is contributing because the rest is subtracted away. Yeah? And this is a right coronary arteria of a patient. And the patient had a problem over here. He had a stenosis, which was treated by a balloon angioplasty, and the stent was set. And the question was if there was a restenosis in this coronary arteries. And unfortunately, it was. So if you compare it to a hospital procedure that exists, the images are very similar. However, to have these images in a hospital, you have to introduce a catheter in the arterial system to shift it all the way through the aorta into the coronary arteria. And this is not a nice procedure. And that's why people are doing that only really when there is a problem. The other thing, with the synchrotron, we can see how the blood or the iodine is perfuting into the myocard. And that gives you quantitative numbers of how the heart is working, yeah? Which is very nice for the cardiologist. Once we did this, we tried also to do that with bronchies, inhaling xenon, which is a gas, which has the absorption edge a little bit above the iodine. These, at that point, were my bronchies, but okay, let's forget about it. Now, going back to Europe, that was done in Hamburg and in Brookhaven in New York, we started to do some other experiments because, so X-rays have the same properties than optical light. You can have absorption, refraction, and scattering. Scattering here is very impressive because the scattering on light, on water particles is responsible to obscure completely the sunlight over there, yeah? Because the light is scattered out of your field of view. But the refraction for X-rays is very small. It's in the order of microradians. A microradian is how you would see a coin of 1 millimeter high in a distance of 1 kilometer. So very small angle. But we use the same mechanism as to filter out some colors. And after the sample, we can analyze with such a system the angular distribution of photons coming out of the sample. And if we do that, and we take, for example, 3 images, we can obtain what we call an absorption image, which is pretty much what you see in the hospital. We can see how the X-rays were deviated from their original way. And here you can already see the bronchies, yeah, and you see the lungs. Or we can look for the scattering. And the scattering is doing a real signal. So here we can see the lungs very bright. And the signal strength is depending on the numbers of alveoli that we have in the lung. Okay? Now, we can do also CT. And if we do that, that is a reconstruction of a lung of a mouse. We can see all the bronchies, and not only the bronchies, but we can also see the alveoli. Yeah? And that's important for many issues that we have with the lung disease. At a certain point, a colleague, a medical doctor from Saskatoon, came after seeing these images and was asking me, can you see also? Oh, 1 minute, very bad. Can you see also single cells? And I said, no. But after all, she was telling me, yeah, but we can mark the cells. We can mark the cells with gold nanoparticles. Yeah? Really, 1 minute? Yeah, okay. And that's pretty much like what you have in a tattoo, okay? So for a tattoo, the marker remains there for lifetime. And doing that, marking, for example, cancer cells and implanting that in a mouse brain, we saw here the tumor, which is the one we implanted, but also a secondary tumor. Going there closer inside, we could see single cells, and we could see them because they were loaded with the gold nanoparticles, as you see over here. Yeah, and that's stuff we did then later on also with in live animals, not only in dead animals. Okay. These days, we try to reconstruct or to combine the two techniques to build detectors for these techniques to put it out of the synchrotron into the hospital. Okay, and with that one, I just finish over here. Sorry. Thank you so much. Tack.